Well, here is what we're working on here today. We got the big 8360 in the shop, and Alex is changing the oil on it. She's down underneath there filling buckets right now. And she's able to change the oil because we got a little bit of rain. So it's a little wet here, and probably a little too greasy to be plowing. So she's got some tips that she's gonna change as well. And the tractor was in need of an oil change. Is it over? Is it under? Whereabouts are you at with the oil change?
I think it's over by 2 hours.
It's over by 2 hours. You should have quit 2 hours early last night. That's what you could have done, you know? But we'll get this oil dropped out of it. Oh man, you spilled some. That's my signature series there of spilling oil.
It's not easy.
No, it's not. Not easy what? To make the mess? So this has a canister style cartridge filter right in that housing there. It's the same filter that they've used for quite a while back on the 8.1 liters. They use them on these 9 liters, and we'll get the fuel filters changed as well. We'll have her run a grease gun around this ILS suspension in the front here, and then she can get this out the door. So, yeah. What about cab cleaning? Do you need a cab cleaning?
Probably.
Just maybe a sweep job, that's all. Where's all your cigarette wrappers and coffee cups and sandwich wrappers and candy bar wrappers and yeah. All right, well, we'll get this serviced up and get on to the next thing here. Well, another thing that we're doing today, if you followed along in the last video, we ended up filling the DEF tank on this Moss trailer just to see what it held. Now I am pumping about half of it out. We only need about, I don't know, maybe 50 gallons in there. So it holds right around 140. So we're just transferring diesel exhaust fluid back into this tote here. And then, actually I probably have enough in there now. And then we're gonna pull this Western Star in. We've got a quantity control valve that we need to replace on it, and Alex got the grease gun going here on this front end. I should have had her grease the front end on the 8320. That one's a little tighter to get to. A little harder to get to, that is. That 8320, them wheels are about right here. You have to have them turned. So, looks like you're getting them all. You got another one up here. I don't know if you've been this way or not, but looks like you're getting them. Alright, I'm going to get that Western Star in here. You need that same wrench. Did you put the oil plug back in yet?
No.
That same wrench will take this oil filter cap off. It's just a plastic cap.
Okay.
So. Well, Alex has got her oil change done. She's just running around this chisel plow now, replacing some tips on it. She's running a grease gun around it, so she's gonna be all set to go here once it stops spitting rain, right? Yeah, so how many more are you gonna change? Yeah, it's got a little time left on it. So, all right, so now we are going to get into our next project here, and that is this Western Star. So I've actually got to change out a battery on this camera, and I'll be back with you guys here in a second. Well, we are now ready to start working on this Western Star. Some of you have noticed that this truck kind of surges. The idle surges a little bit. And back when I put the wet line on this truck, I noticed it then. I said, well, let's get the fuel filters changed and run it. Maybe it just needs to be run. So what we're going to do is we're going to try changing this fuel quantity control valve. It's this little bugger right here. And this sets in, you can barely see it, right back in there. It's somewhat visible, but it's going to be a little difficult to get to. But we've got to remove some fuel lines here, and we'll pluck that guy out of there. I'll start this up and I'll kind of give you an idea of what we're trying to fix here. So give me a second, I'll get this started up, I'll let you listen to it, and then we're gonna go after getting this guy out of there. It might not be too awful fun, but oh well. So you can kind of see that it's surging while it's idling. You kick up the idle a little bit, the throttle, that kind of goes away. So I've done a little research and I found that most of the time, not all the time, some of the time, that fuel quantity control valve will take care of it. If that does not do the trick, it's going to have a new fuel pump put on it. That little fuel quantity control valve was $900. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier here or not, so we might as well dive into getting that guy out of there. Well, we ended up getting this old guy out of there. However, it fought me all the way out. We ended up removing most of the fuel lines. We got them out of the way, made as much room as we could get into there. There is a bracket that goes on there that hides that bottom bolt on that side, but I could not get the right configuration of a socket on the ratchet to get in there. Finally, what I ended up doing was I came up with a couple of adapters to go from 3/8 to quarter back to 3/8 again, and that gave me the length that I needed to get that inside one out. So we'll get everything cleaned up and then we can start putting this back together again. There is a bracket that kind of holds that pump up to the block itself. That had to be removed. That's right here. So we have to make sure we get that guy back in there. Actually, it goes in like that. And yeah, so that's one thing about these Detroit engines. They've got everything just tight, hard to get to, and you have to take multiple pieces off to get to it. I ended up taking the bolt out of the steering shaft just so that I could move the steering column out of the way just a little bit to get some access in there, but it wasn't fun. So let's get things cleaned up here and we'll get that new valve in there. Well, we might as well go ahead and install this new quantity control fuel, whatever the heck it's called. We'll get that in there. Hopefully it doesn't take as long to put it in as it took to get the old one out. So we'll join up with you once we get this reinstalled. Well, we've got that all installed. It took all of about 20 minutes. It took a lot longer to get out because I had to run different length sockets and find different attachments to get to the bottom bolt on that back side there. But what worked out really well to get the top bolt out was this little Milwaukee 3/8 drive ratchet that just fit in there, and you could only run the ratchet like 1/8 of a turn each time to get any rotation out of a standard ratchet. So there is a support bracket that bolts to the block in 2 spots that goes over and supports the pump assembly itself. That's this guy here. So we've got to fish that in there. How the heck does it go? I believe it goes like that. We've got to fish that in there, get that fastened, and then we'll go ahead and we'll clean up all of our fuel lines, get them reattached, prime the system, cross our fingers, hope that it starts, but everything's kind of dry here, so it's going to take a little bit to get going. So let's go ahead and try to get this bracket here into place. Well, all of the hard work is done. There is a bracket that took a little bit to get in there. It took a little bit to get it out too. It supports the pump, bolts to the engine block, and there is a coolant return line going to the compressor that goes in the side of that block. You can kind of see where it's kind of rounded out to kind of get in there. I had to take a grinder and grind just a little bit off because it was running so close to that fitting, the coolant fitting on the block. I did not want to break that. Trying to get that bracket in there. So anybody replacing this quantity control valve, if you're having trouble with that bracket, you just need to grind just a little bit off of that to get it to go back in, if you can even get it out. There is a zip tie holding this wire harness on there. I had to cut that in order to get it out. I fiddled with that quite a bit to get it out, and then it just kind of fell out, and I'm like, oh Christ. I didn't really know which way it came out at that point, but I couldn't find the right way to get it back in. So we've just got some lines to hook back up here. There is a bracket that bolts to here that holds these fuel lines up, the return lines, and we'll get that on there, and then we'll clean up all of these fittings, and we'll get all of these lines back on as well. And then hopefully it just starts. With everything being dry, I suspect we're going to have a little problem. Well, we've got everything all buttoned up. Now we're going to go ahead and start this up. Hopefully it starts. It might take a little bit to get going, and then I'm curious to see whether or not we have any leaks here on all of these lines that we had to take off. So we'll go ahead and get it started, go through the struggle of that, let it run for a while, and hopefully it took care of our idling situation. Well, for a second there, I didn't think it was going to start. The second attempt, it took off. And that took care of that surging idle problem. So that part was 900 bucks, and I'm glad that that did the trick. So we'll go ahead and get this rolled on out of here and get into the next project. It took me 2.5 hours to get this back together. That bracket, I struggled with that bracket a little bit, getting that on there, and then I struggled with a few of those fuel lines. The fuel lines, the swivels were stiff on some of these DN fittings here. So I'll let this run for a while. I did spray them with some brake clean or ether to kind of get some of that rust cleaned out. So it is a little moist, but yeah, that took care of that problem. So we'll get the hood shut down and get this rolled out of here. Well, we just got done pulling our next project in the shop. You'll have to stay tuned. See what that's all about. This is truck 9 here. This is the truck that we're going to put the new box on. But we don't have time to do that right now. But you'll see that we are hooked up to the lowboy. We're going to go on a little field trip. Nice Sunday drive. It's raining out. This is going to shut down here in a second. There we go. We're gonna go on a nice little Sunday drive. It's raining out. There's stuff for me to do, but there is one particular job that we might as well go and get out of the way. So we'll touch base with you once we get on to location here, and we'll explain a little bit about what's going on. We could get 1 to 2 inches of rain with this storm system that's going through, and that's going to keep us out of the field this week anyways. Tomorrow's May 1st. We thought that we were going to be able to get corn planted before the 1st of May this year, but that doesn't look like that's going to happen. The past bunch of years, it's been right around that 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th of May that we have been able to put any seed in the ground. So we've got like 10 miles to go here to get to the tractor. We need to get back to the farm, so I'll join up with you in a little while here. Well, we are on location. So what we're doing is we are going to pick up the 9410. The 9410 has a, what the hell you call it? It's the balancer that's on the flywheel. Is coming apart, and they were going to come and fix this right in field here tomorrow. But what I worry about is I worry about this rain that we're going to get. And if I can limp this back to the shop, that's what we're going to do. Now, they didn't advise running this any more than we have to. So we need to back out on the road and get it loaded up as fast as we can without having that thing come apart. So keep your fingers crossed, and hopefully we can get through this without creating anybody any more work than what this job should be, but let's go ahead and get detached and loaded. Alright, we better get this old girl chained down and get her home. Only took 3 times to get it lined up on the trailer, but that's the way she goes. I'm a little crooked, but that's alright. Alright, we are ready to roll out. Kick the idle up on the truck because it's got that timer where it shuts off. We're flagged on each outside tire. I've got a couple flags in the back, and we are properly chained. So I'll have some guys in the comment section saying that, you know, it's not chained correctly. You know what these things are here, boys and girls? They are D-rings. They are for dummies. That's why they're called a D-ring. So this is adequately chained down. We are clipped in the frame there and up front, and we've got our goofy flags set up as well. So let's go ahead and get this on down the road, get it back to the shop, and hopefully that, I don't know if it's called I forget what the heck it's called now, but the balancer on the flywheel, hopefully that doesn't go into destruction mode. So yeah, looks like these tires need a little wind, but they are adequately aired for when all 8 tires are down on the ground. So let's go ahead and get this back to Navarina. The big hill there in Lafayette. Now we're running across the flats. Got one hill to climb, and then just a few more miles and we'll have her home. Nice day to give out a tractor ride, I guess. So we'll join up with you once we get back at the shop. Truck is running nicely. So, yeah, nice rainy Sunday. Well, this is that hill that we have to climb. The old Western Star ain't quite what the W900 is, but it does fairly well. The other day the boys were hauling manure on that other hill that we just come down. Sarge was about halfway up the hill. When Jared approached the bottom, and Jared went by him like he was standing still. Of course, he just about was. Wasn't going all that fast by the time he got to the middle of the hill with a load of manure. And he ended up getting his load offloaded, and by the time he got his load offloaded, Sarge was pulling up to that field that they were hauling manure to that field that we pulled this tractor away from. So yeah, that's what Route 20 is all about, up and down hills. So we're like 4 miles away from home here at this point. And it's not, the hills aren't as big as that one there from here on to Navarino. So, fun stuff. All right, we are back to the farm. Got it all unchained. All we got to do is very carefully back it off the trailer and into that hole right there. So hopefully this goes without any problems. right, as long as we have the trailer detached, we might as well go get the next item to load on and get rid of that. So bear with me, it's raining, so this camera's probably got raindrops all over the lens. So yeah. All right, so we rolled the 9410 off the trailer there, got that inside, and I figured as long as we had the trailer detached, we might as well go ahead and throw the Peterbilt on and give it a little bit of a ride. We've got to take it into East Syracuse. We're going to drop it off at our local Kenworth dealership, and they've got to plug into it and figure out what's wrong with it. It's got a fuel related issue. We're not sure if it needs injectors or what is wrong with it altogether. You're probably wondering, well, why is it going to Kenworth? Well, this Peterbilt is part of the Paycar family, and it has that junk Paycar engine in it. When we got this truck, they were delivering it. It had issues. They had to take it back to their shop. And they said they put all of the injectors in it. They probably only put 1 or 2 in it that were bad and then sent it out the door. So that's what we are assuming that is wrong with it. It had a transmission wire harness put into it last fall, and we have had to put a lot of money into this truck since we have owned it. So it's a nice rainy Sunday to do some lowboy work. So let's go ahead and get this out to Kenworth and get it dropped off and then get back here. All right, we have made it out to Kenworth. We've got all of our chains off. We'll go ahead and get it unloaded, get the trailer hooked back up, pick up all of our chains and binders, and we will roll on out of here. So they've got some trucks here that need worked on, and they've got some new stuff up in that front row there. So let's go ahead and get this rolled off of here. Okay, we are all hooked up and we are gonna roll out. So they've got some stuff here that they are working on. It actually looks like they haven't got as many new trucks here as I thought. Those trucks that are in the lineup there, they actually have plates on them. Looks like there's maybe two day cab single axles and 2 sleeper cabs. All right, we are back home now. Figured I would just park this truck in this one bunk here. This bunk they got empty here yesterday, and the truck has got a nice perky idle to it. I'm glad that quantity regulating valve took care of the problem. And that is gonna do it for this video. I want to thank everybody for watching, and we will catch you at the next one.